Hey guys, what's going on? Thought I would give you an opportunity to drop in on our Southeast Asia review. We're going to be looking at a couple of the countries in Southeast Asia, just like we did the Middle East. So hopefully you will like this. So sit back and relax and let's discuss some of the things that you will be discovering and find in Southeast Asia. All right, the first country we want to come to is this beautiful country of China. So we're going to talk about China for just a little bit. China is pretty big. Do you see that? If you look at it compared to North America, kind of gives you a perspective on China. China is the People's Republic of China officially. They are a Communist Party-led state. Now, we've learned in class, what does that mean? Let's all say it together. You are right, oligarchy. It is an example of an oligarchy. One of the things we have discovered when you look at the population and where population density is in China, the majority of the people live in the eastern half of the country. So in the eastern section of the country, over here, if you can see my mouse moving, this is where you're going to locate the majority of the population. So they are going to be found right here, right in this area. You're going to notice in the west, there are mountains, deserts, and it's a little more sparsely populated. So you don't have a large population center that is going on in those parts of the world. Now, we do know China is the number one population in the world by total of human beings that live there. We also know that the highest population rates are on the Yangtze River and in the Huanghe River Valley. And so those are the two areas. Major issue going on in China today is still air pollution. I do know that they're recovering from this COVID-19 that did begin in China, and now it has begun to spread throughout the world. So you think about them, they're working on that, and it has been a really, really rough thing for them to deal with. All right, the next country we want to talk about is this little bitty country right here called North Korea. So we'll talk about North Korea. It's roughly the size of Virginia. I know it doesn't fit in Virginia perfectly, but if you took it apart like a puzzle piece, you could fit it inside of Virginia. So it's slightly larger than Virginia, or rather, I should say slightly smaller than Virginia, slightly larger than Mississippi, one of those areas. It is officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Yes, it is a dictatorship, a single party state. They want to depend on juche, is what they call it. It is self-reliance. That is their theme. They believe they can do it all on their own. And so far, they pretty much have. All right, their population is mainly in the plains and the lowlands, which is going to be in the western provinces. You're going to find that is the area in which most of the people live, these western provinces. If you can see my map, and you can see my mouse moving, that's where they're going to be. Really mountainous, especially on the Chinese border up in this area. Not a lot of people live there. The number one problem, believe it or not, in their environment is water pollution. They have a lot of waterborne illness and a lot of problems with that. So there's North Korea. That's what we look at. All right, now we want to talk about South Korea, this beautiful little darling right down here at the bottom of the Korean Peninsula. So we look at South Korea. You can see the size of South Korea, roughly about the same size as, if you will, of North Korea. Look at all these thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. Yes, thousands of islands. Not a lot of people live on these islands, but they have thousands of islands that are down here that make up South Korea as well, and it is a part of it. This is officially called the Republic of Korea. They are a presidential republic. About 70% of South Korea is mountainous, and guess what? Not a lot of people live there. So they have concentrated population in the low-lying areas, in the lowlands, and especially here around the capital of Seoul in this area and the surrounding area. That's where the majority of the population of the people of South Korea live. South Korea has also been dealing with the COVID virus, COVID-19. What they did is they basically shut down everything, just like we've done. And it's why you're at home, why I'm telling you about all this stuff as well. So, boom. Oh, how'd that get in there? All right, not sure, but we move on. All right, next we want to talk about the little country, not so little, of Japan. In fact, what a beautiful country. Look how big it is. If you will notice all the way from Michigan, the Great Lakes, down past Mexico. So that's a long stretch of land, if you can kind of see it that way. Officially, they are a parliamentary constitutional monarchy. You know what that means? They have an emperor. But they have also a prime minister who leads their country. Their population distribution is interesting. It's along the coastal lands. About 1/3 of the entire population of Japan lives in and around Tokyo. It is one of the world's largest cities, if not the largest city. Mega huge city right here is where many of the people in Japan live. 1/3 of the population live there. You might find this surprising, but there's some natural hazards that they have. They have a lot of dormant and active volcanoes, which makes sense since it's an island nation. But every year, now this is what's wild, about 1,500 seismic occurrences happen a year. So they have earthquakes, a lot of earthquakes, a lot of issues. That's why they have tsunami warnings and they have other things that are there. Air pollution is a problem. And so you've got that. And if you look at it, if you take it over and you take Japan apart and you put it inside of California, it's just slightly smaller than the state of California. What a beautiful, beautiful place. I'd love to go to Tokyo one day. I think it would be cool to be able to do that. All right. Next, and I think probably finally, I want to look at the Republic of India. So we want to talk about India. And so if we look at India, you got to get the perspective of how large it is. Officially, it is the Republic of India. It is a federal parliamentary republic. We've already talked about this. It's the largest democracy in the world, but it's the second largest federal republic in the world. And yes, flip-flop, we're the second largest democracy in the United States is the largest federal republic in the world. Population lives pretty much all over the place in India, pretty densely populated because of the kind of country it is and area. Now, if you go to the Thar Desert or you go to the high mountain fringes, you're not going to have a lot of population. That kind of makes sense. That's up north. So you're not going to have people live there. However, the biggest concentration of people you're going to find along the Ganges River. So the banks of the Ganges River and the river valleys, you're going to find that. There's also some smaller river valleys that are in India. You have a lot of people that live there. And then, believe it or not, the southern coastal area, a whole lot of folks that live down there. Now, a lot of their problems that they face, some of their hazards, is that they have droughts. We've talked about that before, but because they have droughts, they also wind up having flash floods. In fact, very destructive floods, typically during the monsoon season. But they also have some concerns because they have an issue of deforestation right now. A lot of cutting back and clearing for farmland and other issues, even for the expansion of metropolitan areas. And then because of the expansion of the metropolitan areas, they also have a huge problem with air pollution. Okay, so those are your big issue countries that we've dealt with and looked at. And it's been kind of fun to be able to look at this and realize that you may feel like it's been going forever, but it's really only been a few minutes. So, all right, hope you guys have a good day. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope things are going well. I think it's a cool time, and we are having a blast. So, adios, muchachos, and we will talk to you later.